Hey, all you cool candidates and job seekers. Welcome back. Welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, not to be confused with Carol Baskin, even though apparently I resemble her. Okay, super quick because we got to get to the topic. Last week we had a commenter who doesn't like me very much, apparently, because they kind of swore at me, who said in the in the comments, shut your Carol Baskins looking ass up. Nobody watches this shit. Well, sir, or ma'am, because of course you didn't use your real name, chicken shit. I'll have you know, my dad watches every week. And he not only thinks I'm a hard worker, he thinks I'm a pretty good recruiter too. Just so you know. So in honor of Carol, star of the Netflix documentary Tiger King, I'm wearing leopard print. Just for you. All right, so let's get to... Y'all gonna have to wake up a little earlier if you want to insult me on the internet. Oh shit. Okay, sorry. Let's get to the point. Compose myself. So this week I want to talk about side hustles. I know I've been kind of like anti-side hustle during the pandemic. I kind of had a rant a few weeks back, just with the whole COVID thing and how we're all being impacted by this. But I did have a really interesting question about what you should put on a resume in terms of side hustles, side projects, things like that. So someone had asked, I'm paraphrasing a little bit because I don't have it up in front of me, but something about, you know, if I'm using Java on a personal project, can I say that I know Java? Like, is that okay, you know, to claim expertise in that? And here's my answer. Yes, you can, because if you know it, if you are proficient in it, we want you to say that. We want you to talk about it. And, you know, frankly, there are the keyboard warriors out there, or the keyword warriors, maybe we should say, who are all about keywords and all about looking for that match. I get it. It's important. I search by keywords too, but I also try to dig into context, if you know what I mean. Anyway, point being, yes, if you are using Java and you can claim proficiency in it, I want you to put it on your resume. Here's the rest of the context, all right? This person was referring specifically to not their day job, something that they're doing on the side, building something, whatever, and that's what they were using. So it was great. I mean, it was an absolute yes from me, highly recommend. Here's why, and this is where I'm gonna tell you a specific example from my recruiting past that will hopefully shed some light on this. This is a few jobs ago, was recruiting for a data scientist. And the idea behind this data scientist was this person was gonna come in and take all of these terabytes of data that we had from this particular function and was going to kind of turn that into a business solution. You know, you were gonna come in and help us understand what the data was telling us and then what we were going to do differently as a result of that. So pretty cool job. I hired a bunch of people like this and it was just a lot of fun. So came across a candidate who didn't have the traditional pedigree, right? Didn't have a PhD from Carnegie Mellon, didn't work for, you know, big tech companies, didn't have a laundry list of internships. I mean, he kind of was a self-taught, scrappy guy. I liked that about him, to be honest. Kind of reminded me of myself. But the idea is this person, if you just looked at a piece of paper, wouldn't have necessarily stood out. Here's what made the difference and got him the interview. This individual was able to tell me, okay, I'm more of an analyst in my day job, and I think he was working in fintech or something, but I'm doing this thing on the side. And what he was doing was actually super cool. He was obsessed with tennis and had built like this algorithm or some kind of mechanism to track this famous tennis player's strokes and how many times they hit the ball and where the ball landed and how that impacted his win ratio and who he competed with. I mean, it was really, really involved and detailed, and he'd actually made a series of YouTube videos about it. And it was super, super cool. I know nothing about tennis. I know even less about R and algorithms, but it was really great for me as his recruiter to hear him talk about this and just the way that he lit up talking about this project and what he'd learned and how he taught himself a lot of this machine learning stuff, you know, things like that. It was super cool, y'all. I mean, I get chills just thinking about it because he was so passionate about it, and it made me passionate about getting him in front of the right people. So we decided that, yeah, we do see, you know, kind of a fit here. He did meet, thank God, the technical basic qualifications, right? And so I moved him forward to the hiring team, and the hiring team was kind of like, okay, well, this is not what we usually see. Tell us more. And bless my hiring team for being open and receptive, right? Because that's my job, to push them on this and get them thinking about non-traditional talent sometimes. So we had a conversation. We watched the YouTube videos together. I mean, it was a really cool experience. And so fast forward, guy ends up being invited to interview, which was great. We unfortunately didn't make an offer, which I wish we could have, but you know, he was one of those like really solid silver medalists, right? And that's a whole nother video in itself that if y'all care, I can certainly cover in future weeks. Even though we weren't able to say he had, you know, kind of met the bar or was a right fit for that specific role, he was absolutely somebody that we thought was good for the company. Absolutely somebody we wanted to keep in touch with and, you know, revisit for a different role, maybe at a lower level or something. But the idea was we wouldn't have known that about him, and we wouldn't have been as excited about him if he hadn't shown us his passion for the work. He had the expertise in the technology we needed him to have, and he met that basic qualification because he had taught himself. Now, this isn't just, oh, I went and did a Coursera course and now I know this language. No, this was something he taught himself, but then applied. He was able to actually show us, here's how I used it. Here's the data that I worked with. Here's the outcome I found. Here's the story I was able to tell. And isn't that really at the heart of everything we're trying to do here? We're trying to get y'all to show us through your resume and through the interview process what you know, what you can learn, and what you've accomplished. He was able to do that through a side hustle. It was a learning experience for me. It definitely made me rethink how I was looking at resumes, how much weight I was putting into the quote unquote pedigrees and looking for the right schools and looking for the right degrees. It was really a lesson for me to not ignore self-taught people, not think about creative ways to solve these problems. So thank you for making me a better recruiter wherever you are. It's been many, many years since we last talked. You probably don't remember me, but I remember you, and I remember the lesson that I learned that week. So if you are an engineer and struggling to decide, should I put my app on my resume? I built this app, 1,000 people bought it. Does that matter? I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say add it. We can talk about where that goes. We can talk about format maybe in a future video. You can look at some of the old resume videos I've done. But yeah, I wanna know those things. I wanna see the expertise, and especially if you've taught yourself and you've taken that opportunity to apply this without any kind of, you're not getting paid for it. That's really cool in my book, for what it's worth. So I'm not the decision maker. I don't work at every company, but I'll tell you what, I love to see the hustle, and I love to see people who are passionate about what they do, even to the point where they do it on the side to feed their own personal passion and what they want to accomplish. So I think it's great. I vote yes, put it on your resume. If you have questions on any of that or want to talk more, you know where to find me. Drop me a comment, send me an email, amy@recruitinginyogapants.com. Clearly, I read all the comments. Obviously. And, thanks to my dad for being the one person I know watches every week. All right. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll see you guys next week.